students and families. My name is Mrs. Bassett. I am a third grade teacher in Knox County at Bluegrass Elementary. In today's social studies video, we will be reviewing early American Indians in North America. This is a review of last week's review. If you will remember, we had two goals last week. Our first goal was to review the geographic locations and customs of the Northeast, Southeast, and Plains North American Indians. And our second goal was to review the conflicts between American Indian nations. Let's look at your KCS at home packet. Find the section for third grade social studies. Today our goals are to read about a tribe in the Southeast region, the Powhatan tribe. We will also compare and contrast the Southeast region tribes to yourself. We will start our lesson by watching a brain pop about American Indians to review their society and their culture. Listen for some of the differences between the tribes and think about how these tribes from long ago are the same as you or are different from you.
It's a monument to the American Indians who fought in the Battle of Little Bighorn. Pretty impressive, huh? Dear Tim and Moby, what can you tell me about American Indians? From Milo. Well, the first thing you should know is that the term Indian is really a mistake. When Christopher Columbus first landed in the Americas in 1492, he was sure he had reached India. So he used the term Indians to refer to the people he met on shore. Of course, he was wrong about where he was, but the name stuck. Since then, a number of terms have been used to identify the land's original inhabitants and their descendants living today. Well, they originally came from Asia. Most of them probably crossed a land bridge that used to exist in the Bering Strait between Alaska and Russia. There's still some debate about when the first people came over, but it was definitely more than 10,000 years ago. These first immigrants gradually developed into thousands of separate societies, each with its own language and culture. Some tribes were nomadic. That means they moved with the seasons, following the animals they depended on for food. Other groups mastered farming, allowing them to build permanent settlements. In Central and South America, the Aztec, Maya, and Inca formed highly complex civilizations. Their societies included large cities with organized governments and religions. The place we now call the United States became home to a huge number of tribes. For example, in the Northwest, tribes like the Kwakwaka'wakw and the Chinookan lived through hunting and fishing. In the Southwest, the Pueblo and Navajo managed to farm in the desert through irrigation. They lived in buildings made with various types of dried mud, including adobe, a kind of clay brick. In the Great Plains, tribes like the Sioux hunted for bison and other large animals. In the Southeast, the Mississippian people built villages with flattened pyramids, known as platform mounds. And in the Northeast, 6 Iroquois nations united under a constitution called the Great Law of Peace. Many historians believe the United States Constitution borrowed some ideas from it. Oh sure, Alaska has been home to quite a few native groups over the years, and plenty still live there today. Alaska native groups include the Inuit, the Yupik, and the Tlingit. Well, unfortunately, many of the Native American civilizations are gone now. There are many reasons. Some of them were killed by invaders, and lots more died of diseases brought to the New World by Europeans. In South and Central America, Spanish explorers, or conquistadors, enslaved entire nations. And in North America, many Indians died as European settlers came in and took their lands. During westward expansion in the 1800s, the U.S. government made treaty after treaty with various tribes, promising that if they'd move west, the tribes could keep their new lands. But the government kept going back on its promises, and it often used brute force to take American Indians' territories. Tens of thousands of Indians died from European diseases and poor living conditions forced on them by white settlers. Naturally, relations between New Americans and American Indians grew pretty hostile. By the 20th century, most American Indians in the U.S. were living on reservations, areas of land set aside for them by the government. Yeah, it is a sad history. But we can still learn a lot from the American Indians. people of American Indian ancestry have worked hard to maintain their cultures and celebrate their traditions. Speaking of which, they're showing a movie back at the center. Want to go? All right, let's do it.
Now, let's look at the first page of your packet. Just like last week, I'm going to read the text with you, but after you are finished with the video and are ready to do the lesson activities on your own, I would like for you to reread the text to yourself. After we read, you will have 2 questions to answer at the bottom of the page. You can answer these on a separate sheet of paper. As we read, think about what conclusions you can draw based on how the Powhatans wore their hair and 3 benefits of putting babies on cradle boards. Life as a Powhatan. The Powhatan were a group of American Indians that lived in the southeast region. They were a smart, hardworking, and advanced people. Chief Powhatan was the leader of the Powhatan Empire. He headed more than 30 tribes. Each tribe had a separate chief who swore loyalty to Chief Powhatan. Each tribe in the Powhatan Empire was required to pay Chief Powhatan 80% of all the copper, furs, and crops they obtained. All the chiefs knew not to cheat Powhatan. He punished quickly and severely. Chief Powhatan was described by the English settlers at Jamestown as tall and healthy. Powhatan never visited the Jamestown settlement. He made the English settlers come to him. The Powhatan lived in villages of as many as 100 homes. They built oblong houses called yahikans. They farmed, hunted, fished, and gathered nuts and berries for food. They made tools including hatchets, knives, drills, and arrows from stone and wood. They used bones and antlers to make needles and fish hooks. Powhatan men wore a breechcloth of animal skin and shirts of deer skin or a covering of turkey feathers. Their hair was shaved on the right side to keep from getting tangled in the bow while hunting. The hair on the other side was long, tied in a knot, and decorated with such things as deer antlers, shells, or rattlesnake rattles. Powhatan women wore skirts made of animal skins. Married women wore their hair in long braids. Young girls shaved their heads on the front and sides and braided the rest of their hair down their backs. Women also wore tattoos all over their body. Powhatan babies were put on cradle boards until they were about to crawl. The baby and the board were sometimes laid flat, sometimes propped up, and sometimes hung on a tree if the mom was really busy. Now you are ready to write. Remember to reread the text on your own and look for text evidence to support your answers. Next, I want to show you page 2. On the left side of the diagram, you will list characteristics of American Indians who lived in the Southeast long ago. You can use information from today's article or from last week's packet. On the right side of the diagram, list characteristics of your own. Try to include characteristics such as shelter, clothing, food, and location. Once you have completed your list, see if you can find some similarities. This is comparing, and some differences. This is contrasting. You can circle your similarities in blue and your differences in red. If you don't have any colors, try underlining your similarities and circling your differences. Before we end, let's review our goals. Today we reviewed the Powhatan tribe, which was a tribe in the Southeast region, and we also compared and contrasted the Southeast region tribes to yourself. Now you are ready to complete both pages. If you are interested in re-watching the video included in this lesson, I have provided the link for it at the bottom of the page. That's it for me and your third grade social studies lesson for today. Remember to reread your text before you answer the questions. This will help you find text evidence to support your answers. I hope you have a great day.